But if you go to the western parts of Russia, you see all kinds of evidence. For example, at the Trinity holiday in May, which is 6 weeks after Easter, the churches of Vladimir, which is one of the oldest cities in Russia, one of the essential Christian locales, are decorated with fresh grass and birch branches. The spring is always associated in Russia with the birch in particular, because the birch was the symbol of the maidenly fertility and the abundance of the earth. So they again have there's no discrepancy for them. That what you want to do is you want to bring birches and freshly mown grass and pussy willows into the church. And the priests, in fact, bless, they don't have Palm Sunday, they have Pussy Willow Sunday. The priests, in fact, will bless all of these branches. The Russians use birch in particular for their saunas. You know, the Russians have a sauna tradition. And so if you have birch branches blessed on that holiday, you will be particularly healthy all year. So you see it all over the place. I mean, I could go on and on if you want me to, but that's just one that I happen to like, because when you walk into the church and all that grass and greenery's in there, it's just amazing.
What caused you to get so interested in this, which is most interesting for you to hear about, but you're a young gal, what caused you to get so interested?
In folk religion or in Russia?
Oh.
Well, Russia was an accident. I was an undergrad with an English and a German major. And to do a German major at that university, well, to do any language, you needed a second language. So I went to my advisor and I asked, should I do Russian or French? French because I'm French, Russian because it's interesting. And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a translator. And he said, well, don't bother with French. Take Russian. So I took Russian, and in 1982, my professor walked in one day and said, here you go, and handed me an application. And I said, what's this? And she said, it's your application to go to the Soviet Union. And I said, oh? Am I going to the Soviet Union? She said, well, you're going to apply. I said, I don't have any money to go to the Soviet Union. She said, you will get in first and we will find money. So I went, and I came back and changed my major. It was amazing. But folk religion actually emerged naturally out of ritual, because ritual is my passion. And the more work I did with ritual, the more I realized you can't separate the aspects of folk belief in that way, particularly religious belief. So I decided to start a project that brought together religious legend, icon, ritual, and song. You're welcome. Tim?
Yeah. Have you been to the Church of Christ the Redeemer in Moscow?
Yes.
Well, a mutual friend of ours talks about when it was a swimming pool.
Yes.
And I have a picture of that. It's a beautiful cathedral, but Soviets knocked down.
A swimming pool that never functioned properly because it was cursed, right? This is the folk. This is the folk belief, right? That God punished them for destroying that cathedral. Yeah. So that swimming pool functioned for, 5 years and then was shut. So it is a beautiful hill in Moscow. Moscow is rather hilly, rolling. And this cathedral was up there and then raised for the swimming pool. And then it was just this flat, barren place. But now it's all been rebuilt. So at least some aspects of the church have money, even if this poor little one doesn't.
Oh, yes, I was wondering, after you took your bath in the Holy Spring, has it helped you?
Well, I haven't been particularly sick, which is
That's good.
Yeah, actually that's not really true. I came back from Russia on that particular trip and I was sick. But I think that was more the airplane, not the... So no, I haven't had any attested miracles to report to him yet. But I swear, if anything happens, I will let him know. And I do keep up with him. I mean, in fact, the pictures of the latest building of the church he sent, because I wanted to know where they were so I could tell you accurately, because my last one was from last year. So we'll see what's happening in the pictures right near where that little chapel is that covers the spring. Something is going up, and I don't know what it's going to be, like an outdoor meeting room. I don't know. It seems to be open, but of course it may be early days, it may be closed, I don't know. So I have to go in May. I have my tickets.
Do they have in the Orthodoxy any concept of exorcism? And if they do they use the water?
To drive out demons?
Yes.
They use the water for all kinds of things. It can definitely be to remove the evil eye. It can be to drive out an evil spirit if it has got you. I had a Ukrainian student in folklore this last fall. And she is part of an emigre family, essentially grew up here as an American, but they retained many of their beliefs, obviously. She's always been sickly. She's always just had lots of stuff. And she said, as we were talking about curing rituals, healing, can I tell you about one that they always do for me my whole life? Well, yes. And so what they would do is they would take holy water and they would light matches and drop the matches in the water. And the match that would sink was where the curse was. In other words, it had encapsulated the whatever that was causing her disease, the evil eye. And then she would have to drink the water once that match sunk. And that would drive out, supposedly, the evil eye. Evil eye charms, evil eye avoidance is very active throughout the Soviet period. My book was on weddings, births, and funeral. And almost every woman said they did things to make sure their child did not get the evil eye. And these were people who were, PhDs, working at universities. And again, no contradiction between the scientific path of knowledge and protecting my child from the evil eye.